Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I just kind of want to talk to you about something that I've been thinking and mulling over in my mind, and it has to do with direct sow seeding versus seed starting. When I first started gardening, it was one of the topics that I really just didn't understand. I saw a lot of people online starting seeds in, the little small seed containers, seed starting containers, and grow lights, and humidity domes, and heat mats. And I just kind of was like, well, why aren't they just sticking it in the ground or sticking it in the raised bed? What's the point of doing the seed starting? Right from the start, I felt more inclined to lean towards direct sow seed starting. And I think that's just because I thought it was an extra step that was unnecessary. My climate is warm here in Central Florida and humid pretty much all the time. And I was thinking, in my head at the time, I was thinking that a lot of the seed starting, the reason they do seed starting is because they live in a colder climate, like, somewhere up in the northeast or Pacific Northwest of the U.S. And so I thought they were just trying to beat the temperatures. But the more that I garden, the more I've realized the advantages to doing seed starting. And I think I'm getting to the point where I have some specific seeds that I will not direct sow. So I always kind of knew that like root veggies, something like a radish or a turnip, would probably not transplant well. So like seed starting with one of those is probably not a good idea. But if you're talking herbs and lettuces, I am having so much trouble where I put them in the raised bed and I get sprouts, and I can even see like maybe the first adult leaf come up. But then something happens, some bird or some other pest or something comes in and just, it seems like, pulls it up out of the dirt, pulls it up out of the soil. And well, then I don't have my start anymore. Like it wasn't strong enough, it didn't have strong enough roots, and nothing was really holding it in. So I think that I would like to have that more controlled environment in a seed starting, on a seed starting tray or in a seed starting cell or something, and then transplant those after they reach a certain height, maybe like 4 inches tall or 6 inches tall. Let me go over to one of my recent raised beds and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about with my seedlings just kind of disappearing overnight and I don't know what's going on. So right here is one of my newest raised beds. It's one where I'm doing some experiments, and right here I will insert a video from my garden tour that my February garden tour that I just filmed a couple days ago, and I had a nice seedling of Joy Choy right here, and I come out here the other day and look what I find. It's just like dead on top of the soil, no more seedling. I could try to transplant that, but I think really what I'm going to do is just try again and start the seed over again. Another reason I'm a little sour on direct sowing is because of how long it takes for me to get to a point where I feel comfortable doing a mulch layer. If I mulch right after I direct sow seeds, I feel like I'm covering them up and I'm making it that much harder for the seedling to pop out of the soil. Say hi. Say hi. Mason's out here playing in one of those water things. Anyways, back to what I was saying about the mulch. If I direct sow seedlings, I feel like I can't mulch because I'm smothering the seedlings, and I'm just going to make it that much harder for the seedling to pop up out of the soil and grow. So what I've been doing is direct sow the seeds, and then I wait until they look strong enough and big enough to withstand a light layer of mulch, and I'll put that layer of mulch on top of the soil. But in the meantime, like my raised beds, the soil, the top like inch of soil is just drying out so fast. I think it's detrimental to the seedlings because the roots, like you're talking about roots that are like this big, and I've got that top layer of soil that's drying out completely. I can't control the moisture level well enough if I direct sow. If you can take a look at the exposed soil versus the soil that's been covered up by mulch, it just looks like it's retaining moisture right at the top so much better. And for that reason, I just feel like it's detrimental to have to hold off on mulching for your seedlings. I know I wouldn't be mulching on top of seed starting cells, but I've been keeping seed starting pots on my lanai on my back porch. And every time I walk by the sliding glass door, I can kind of glance and see if the soil's like drying out on the top or not, and I can just spray some water real quick and keep it moist without having to worry about mulching. And it's not getting that direct sun, like it's just getting some filtered sun through, like, the sides of the lanai. So I have some herbs that I started from seed. I have chives, thyme, and oregano that are in my seed starting tray on my lanai right now. And I just feel like I'm actually finally able to watch how quickly they germinate. I'm able to keep that soil moist because I can walk by my sliding glass door and I can see that top layer. I can also start watering from the bottom, which seems to be really helpful too. And I'm not saying that I will never direct sow again, because I will, especially for certain plants. But it seems like spinach and herbs and other types of lettuces, it seems like I'm fighting a losing battle by direct sowing the seeds in my raised bed. So now I'm over here at my long raised bed on the other side of the yard, and I just wanted to show you another reason why I'm reconsidering my approach to direct sow. I can show you some examples of where I have this watering grid on top of the raised bed, and it's a long raised bed, 21 feet long, and so I kind of have to make some judgment calls about how much water, right? So right now I'm running it every other day for 10 minutes. It's drip irrigation, and so it seems like it's too much for some of the seedlings, and they're getting like washed out by the spray. So I think it's too much. I need to do a gentle watering method, which I've been doing with a mister on my seed starting trays. It's working much better than watching all my seeds just get washed away by my own watering. Or, I mean, you guys can see Mason in the background. Maybe it's not the water at all. Maybe it's my 2-year-old pulling things out. And maybe that's another reason why I, in particular, need to choose seed starting over direct sow, because I have a little human gremlin that's pulling my seedlings out of the garden. Okay, so take a look at this one. See how it's just like barely hanging on, and it's like tilted over. It just seems like something pushed it, but the soil's pretty wet. I think it's too much water, and it's literally pushing it over, and it's not going to have the strength like to withstand that kind of water pressure. Now, so I call it drip irrigation, but it's actually, like, I have such a big grid. I didn't do emitters. I just ended up drilling small holes in my 1/2-inch tubing, and so some of them shoot out at a little higher speed than, like, 0.5 GPH an hour, like a button dripper. And maybe that's a reason to rethink my setup with the water. Lots of things to think about. I either need to change my seed starting method, or I need to change these to be button drippers. But that's a whole lot of work on a 21-foot long raised bed with lots of squares. So this right here is the seed starting tray where I have chives, thyme, and oregano down here at the bottom. And you can see I've been doing some watering from below by filling in the bottom of the tray with some water. And then I've also been keeping the tops wet using this mister. This is something that I learned at a seed starting class at my local nursery. It's just so much gentler. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some pressure to it, but this is so much gentler than what's going on in my raised bed. And I think the seedlings need gentle watering. That's where my head's at lately with direct sow seeding versus seed starting. I may invest in some seed starting trays and cells. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with one from Burpee or one from Vigo Garden. I tend to lean towards Vigo Garden because I have had such a great experience with their raised beds. I just can't imagine being unhappy with purchasing anything from Vigo Garden. So I may go ahead and order some of those trays and seed starting pot cells and do a better job on my lettuces and herbs starting in there. In the meantime, I have some more cells that I can use in that tray that I just showed you. I'll fill them up with some more soil. I need to restart my Joy Choy and a bunch of spinaches for those small raised beds on the other side of my yard. If you guys have any similar thoughts, or even like other reasons that you prefer direct sow versus seed starting, or the opposite, seed starting versus direct sow, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious what everyone's thoughts are. All I see is the videos that creators are making about seed starting. And I just want to know what at-home gardeners are thinking about this. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time, guys.